Leaving now for Texas, ! He is headed to the flood-ravaged areas as Tropical Storm Harvey still drops rain on Texas, causing just disastrous flooding, life-threatening flooding. And on the line with us right now is Veronica Sites, incident commander for a victim relief organization in Houston. Good morning, Veronica. What can you tell us right now about the disaster relief effort?
Well, with the disaster relief, it's going as well as it can be. And, one of the things is there are many, many responders, and they're still in search and rescue phase right now. So the agency that I'm with will deploy to Houston as soon as we get green light from FEMA. We are right now staging and hosting, helping facilitate social, emotional, and physical care at the mega shelter in Dallas. So as soon as we get the green light, we've got people ready to go. And that's one of the things that the people that have responded, one, are first responders, and two, maybe neighbors that are already stayed there using their boats. But the official go in and start to, render the aid has not been given because it's still not a completely safe situation. The worst thing that can happen is people go before they're given the green light, and then they wind up in harm's way as well, and then they're needing to be rescued, and that sometimes happens too often. So our agency waits till we get the green light, and that we can stage and distribute all of the supplies and provide the care in ground zero areas as needed.
Veronica, you mentioned the mental health that you're offering, because I'm sure, not just days worth of rain being depressing, but then losing everything around, and your family who maybe you could have depended on lost everything as well. I can't even imagine the toll that it's going to take on them. Would it be considered a PTSD, what people will be going through?
Well, what we seek to do is, number one, give them keys and the ability to know how to navigate from where they are right now in chaotic, upheaval, overwhelmed states, so that they can establish a new healthy, and I stress the healthy, normal. Because under the circumstances, it is very normal to feel overwhelmed. Am I going crazy? What would people think if they knew I'm thinking this? Or, just not wanting to express what they are struggling even to find a word for. But on the other hand is to recognize that, unfortunately, our society has put a horrible stigma on mental illness. So what we need to turn the focus to is how do we maintain mental wellness in a situation like this? And that's the keys that we give them, is to help them know you choose what the normal will become, but let's recognize that what you're going through right now is normal to the circumstance. Number two, here's some things you can do. And number three, here's some things to recognize. When your body is saying, I need help, don't ignore me. Because post-traumatic stress, it is a reality right now. What we want to prevent is the disorder that comes from what I use the acronym of FINE: faking, ignoring, neglecting, and evading the truth. That there is still a storm underneath the surface raging within each individual that has been impacted. They just need to be honest with themselves and receive the help that's available.
And each person reacts differently. Incident commander for a victim relief organization in Houston, Veronica Sites. And Veronica, the one thing that has really that I've been thinking about when I see the images and just thinking about with concern is the people that are at the shelters who have had to evacuate. And right now I've heard I think are around 8,000, but there could be up to 30,000. So they're at these shelters with hundreds or thousands of cots in these huge rooms, just one after another. How do you deal with living that way for more than a few days?
Well, and that's one of the things, is nobody's prepared to deal with it. So it's like just helping. The critical role that volunteers provide for people is that presence of stability. It's like, you know what, you're not alone. And one of the biggest services that our organization provides is being present, to hold their hand, to point them in the right direction of where do they start? What is available to them? Because it's all very overwhelming, and it's moving the needle from getting them out of survival mode into let's stabilize what can be stabilized, and here's the resources, here's a place that you can start, because needs are different.
Veronica Sites, Incident Commander for a Victim Relief Organization in Houston, Texas, talking about Hurricane Harvey and the disaster relief effort. In our last moment together, Veronica, what most important message would you like to send out to the listeners in Savannah, Georgia?
Don't impose your expectations of how someone should be dealing with things, and recognize under traumatic circumstances, kindness and compassion is what's needed most.
Great. Thank you so much, Veronica.